Hey everybody, KC here. So, from almost the beginning of the pandemic, as restaurants were shutting down or only doing takeout, and so much of the food dollar was going to supermarkets, I've sort of argued that while that was really good for supermarkets, one of the things they should not do is take it for granted that that was going to stay that way, right? I mean, it seemed to me to be self-evident that at a certain point we'd get past the pandemic and people would go back to restaurants. And if the supermarkets wanted to keep any percentage of those dollars, they really had to work it hard. They couldn't take it for granted. And what's interesting though, because, in so many ways, are we getting to the end of the pandemic? I can't tell anymore. Restaurants continue to have issues. I mean, part of it is labor, right? I know Mrs. Content Guy and I went out to a restaurant the other night. We were sitting outside, but one of the things we noticed, there were signs in a couple of places just saying, listen, we're really, really short-staffed, so please be patient. Which seemed to me like a reasonable request, no problem at all. They also had a number of signs with QR codes saying, we're hiring, click here for more information or to apply or something like that. I mean, that's really, really interesting. A lot of restaurants are still closed. I know somebody who was in Maine for a couple of weeks at the end of August, and the place that they go to in Maine, which is just outside Portland, he said there's normally like 8 restaurants that he and his wife would go to. Only one was open. The other 7 were closed because of pandemic or staffing issues. So, it's a lot of restaurants that still have not come back. I think that restaurants have not, well, I always expected that restaurants would sort of adapt to the times and, instead of supermarkets becoming more like restaurants or grocerants, that we were going to see restaurants that were going to pick up market ideas and sort of sell more of their products to go, sell ingredients, things like that. Just take a different approach to the marketplace. I haven't seen a lot of that happening. I still think it's possible, but maybe they're just not going to be as adaptable in that way as I would have thought. There was also an interesting story from Bloomberg the other day about how, some restaurants are just fed up with the fact that customers, because they're dealing with, shortages of staff and stuff like that and wait times and things are not going as smoothly as they used to, there's a real toxic kind of customer attitude out there. And that, they're berating the staff. They're berating their waiters, the maitre d's, whatever. I mean, there was a case in New York City where 2 women actually, hit and knocked down and hurt the person who was standing at the door. I mean, this is kind of crazy behavior. I really liked, there was one restaurateur out in Pennsylvania somewhere who got totally fed up with this. And he put a sign on the door which said, be kind. And if you're not going to be kind, go someplace else. That strikes me as being a completely legitimate request of customers. Be kind. Now, it has to work both ways, right? You also have to say to your employees, be kind, because we're all dealing with sort of difficult situations here. And if it's not lack of staff, it's the fact that people have to wear masks. The world has changed, and I think we all are required to have a little more patience in terms of dealing with the realities. But be kind. I think that's a perfectly great sign that every retailer should have on their door. Listen, things are tough. We're all challenged. Be kind. We'll be kind to you. You be kind to us. We'll all get through it together. We'll all get through this together. We heard that a lot at the beginning of the pandemic. Not so much, because people's sort of tempers have been frayed by how long it has taken. It's going to take a little while longer. We're all just going to have to continue to try to be nice to each other. At the end of the day, though, I still think, supermarkets, if they want to continue to be essential, which is what everybody says they want to be, they have to not take any of this for granted. They have to figure out what customers want. They have to be kind and intuitive about what their customers need, and they have to supply it in a way that's really, really effective. Can't take any of this for granted. They've got to continue to compete. I don't think I've said this for a while, but you know something? Maybe you don't remember me ever saying this before, but compete is a verb. Anyway, that's what's on my mind this morning. And as always, I want to hear what's on your mind.